So, SoulCalibur Lost Swords is basically a single player only with no multiplayer. Because it's pay to win. It's pay to win, and this is ridiculous. Alright, so, I've been messing around with SoulCalibur Lost Swords for a little bit. I just recently downloaded, I think a couple of days ago, and, got around to playing it a little bit. It's basically a free-to-play, free-to-try, basically, fighting game, based on the SoulCalibur franchise. It's not part of the main storyline or anything, that's why it doesn't have a numerical number. It's not SoulCalibur 6 or something like that, but it's basically just Lost Swords, some sort of free-to-play game. You can try it out. It's got this gameplay, the graphics, the audio of the SoulCalibur titles. It's fun. It's a fun mode, and I only spent maybe a couple of hours on it so far. It's a single-player game, but I didn't even really try out or notice that the multiplayer was lacking, because I haven't really delved too much into every intricate aspect of the game, every little detail. And I read this article that it didn't even have multiplayer. It was missing a multiplayer mode. Yes, a fighting game in 2014 released by one of the most prominent developers in fighting game history doesn't have multiplayer. It's an online game, basically. The way you get it is you download it off the PSN. Yeah, playing around with it on the PS3 and enjoying it. And it doesn't have multiplayer. Yeah, a fighting game in this era, in the 2010s, this is why, I made that video last year, going back several months ago, talking about how the top 5 reasons why fighting games are dead. And I give my reasons why fighting games died. Fighting games are not nearly as hot as they used to be back in its glory years of the 90s. And why they just kept dying out. It's just not relevant at this day and time. It's because of shit like this. It's because of these decisions, these business decisions, this free-to-play bullshit model. It's not even free-to-play. It's free-to-play. You can download it for free and play it, but it's a pay-to-win, as they say. It's a pay-to-win model, ultimately, because it's one of these downloadable games that you have to pay extra to get the other stuff, to get the other features, other little, items and extra little things that you can add to your character that enhance the game, that enhance your character. And this is according to Namco Bandai. Alright, they basically have their explanation. Alright, the producer Masaki Hoshino said the reason that we went single player only is because originally we were thinking having multiplayer. But because we're basically going with a pay-to-win model, we were worried that by having online multiplayer for all the new users that would be coming and experiencing the game for the first time, they might be immediately deterred by fighting against opponents who had superior equipment and gear, and we didn't want to have that kind of negative impact on new players. What a bunch of bull! Oh, the amount of BS from this statement is ridiculous. A pay-to-win, huh? Pay-to-win. See, I don't have much experience with pay-to-win, but from what I understand, you basically spend actual money, yes, real money, to buy items, gear, some sort of additional, weapons and armor to add to your character and basically boost your character's fighting ability. When we paid enough money, let's say you paid a lot of money for a lot of armor, you can destroy anybody because you got this maximum amount of, a lot of health or armor or whatever. Your character is really way too strong for anybody to take it down. It's like that episode in that South Park episode with the Warcraft characters, and one character is just way too powerful. And that pay-to-win model is, number one, it's money grubbing. Obviously, pay to win, pay to win. Well, what the fuck is pay to win? Pay to win is literally them basically asking for your money. They require your money so that you get better weapons. Pay to win. It's so money grub, obviously 101, and it's just nonsense. And I always dreamt that SoulCalibur would end up something like this. You know, when I was younger, I kind of thought that fighting games should be this online experience. You can play against other people online, a multiplayer thing. You can access players and fight against them across the world. The Asian region, you know, the Japanese players, the North American region, the Mexican region. In the UK, you know, people from England, you can fight against them online, or multiplayer. But of course, they don't have. It's only single player. You can only play as against the CPU. Now, personally, for me, I mean, look, I enjoy the single player. That's predominantly what I like, the campaign, etc. Lost Swords is mostly just you beating enemy after enemy. You know, it's just this ongoing stream of different enemies fighting you. That's progressively, you know, presumably harder, with better weapons, higher levels, and so on and so forth. And your character, you can equip items. You can equip armor that you get from these fights, or after you defeat these characters. And it's a single player experience, which is, again, it's going to take some time to get going with a character, to raise your character's power. And I can almost understand their point, but to not have a multiplayer to begin with is just insanely stupid. Why not have the multiplayer, but not having some sort of, you know, cheap bullshit where there's no level, there's no advantage? Just have the basic multiplayer there and just have a one-on-one thing. I mean, what happened to that? That's a given. That should have been right there. Where every character is basically the same power, the same level. They don't have any advantages. They don't have extra high armor and attack and all that. So I can almost understand why, but just the reasoning is just so obviously like a pay-to-win bull. They are forcing people, not forcing people, but that's the implication, is that you gotta spend the money. It's pay to win in order to essentially keep going with the stupid characters and, you know, keep beating these characters. I don't know, you know, that's SoulCalibur Lost Swords. I still got it on the it's downloaded in my PS3. I mean, I'm still gonna play it. If you want, you know, a SoulCalibur experience on the PS3, you don't have 4 or 5, and you're craving for that SoulCalibur next gen, or I should say current gen, or whatever the hell, last gen experience. You know, this is the kind of game that you want to get, because it's got that SoulCalibur classic gameplay. It is fun. It's a good fighting game. The graphics are great, as I mentioned before, but again, Lost Swords, it's just a cheap money grub by Namco Bandai. And this is not the first time they've done this. This is not the first time we have a fighting game that's completely whored out by these companies. They did the same thing with Tekken Revolution, alright, that came out last year. And the only reason they have Tekken Revolution is free-to-play, aka gotta pay a lot of crap for the extra content. Extra characters, you gotta pay an extra amount of money for that. If you want to unlock the different costumes, different little add-ons to the characters, you gotta pay a lot more money for that. It's all divided, and it's all you gotta pay for each one individually. And I mean, you know, I used to judge people that buy the DLC, and I'd be like, man, those people are stupid. I'm the same idiot, because I did the same thing with Dead or Alive. You should say Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate Edition or some shit like that. Core Fighters. Yes, that's right. They released Core Fighters Dead or Alive, which is basically DOA 5, but it's like a demo. It's a demo of DOA 5 Ultimate. And that's why they made Tekken Revolution. That Dead or Alive thing came out first, which is basically a free-to-play Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate demo. All the characters, well, like 4 characters are only available for play. Everybody else is locked. Everything is locked. The content, a couple of stages are locked. The story mode is locked. Everything. The only thing you can play is the arcade mode, and it only goes up to a certain thing. There's no story. There's nothing. It's very bare minimum. And I'm the fucking moron. I'm the same retard that spent $80+ on this fucking game, you know? I unlocked a few movies, unlocked a few characters. By the end of it, the total was like $80+. And I haven't even unlocked the whole game. You know, that's me in a nutshell. I was so into it. I was so into the buying the little extra stuff with this Dead or Alive Ultimate 5 Core Fighters bullcrap. I didn't even buy the whole game, which was far cheaper than $80, but, I mean, when it get down to it, it was just certain characters I had to unlock, certain costumes I had to unlock, and by the end of it, it was $80+. And I was like, damn, not gonna do that anymore. So that's what fighting games have become in 2013, 2014, is that they've become pay to win, DLC, bunch of crap. It's just a bunch of online garbage. It's a bunch of money grubbing type of hoard out franchises. You gotta pay for all the characters, you gotta pay for them. Each character you gotta pay separately, or you could buy them all in a single bundle. You could buy the different costumes. Yeah, the story mode, you gotta pay for... I mean, it's just... Fighting games truly are dead. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's like an afterthought. You know what? These pay-to-win things, these free-to-play, but really pay-to-win DLC fighting games from Namco and Tecmo and all these things, they're just here to prey upon people like me who are vestiges of the fighting game generation of the 90s. So people that love fighting games like me, that grew up on it in the 90s, these are what they do to us. It's like we're the target for this thing. We're the target marks, the suckers that buy into the stuff, basically. I mean, it's so horrible, but that's what fighting games have become, and they really are finished. I mean, I'm always gonna love fighting games, but man, it's a horrible thing that's happened to fighters, and it's pretty much this hoard out thing, this cheap, you gotta pay for everything, everything's divided, everything's incomplete. You know, Killer Instinct on the Xbox One, another perfect example of that. My God.